G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and today I'm live from a nondescript, very secure location talking to Mr. Harry Webb. Harry, thank you for having me. How are you this fine Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm good, Joel. Always appreciate you making the trip down to sunny Ballarat, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's always awesome to make the trip down. You and the team make me feel very welcome. We are coming, as I said, from the secure location. How does this compare to home?
Well, this is home now. Like the last few months we've been here. Now, nice little setup. It's pretty bougie. You got all the bits and bobs that you need for a nice training camp. But it's actually been really good. We've got a little group of guys, all got fights coming up, so vibe's been good. Everyone's been putting in the work, and it just proves you don't really need a fancy facility to get the work done.
Now, as I've said, this is a secure location. It's kind of tucked away. It's not the most obvious thing in the world. I lost it. I couldn't find it until you very nicely let me in. When the team is in here, there's obviously yourself. There's Luke Daly is in here as well. Those are the two pros that I can think of. Is it the Pro-Am team is in here? Like, kind of who are the people that are in here working with you?
Yeah, so we got me and Daly, the two pros, and then we've got about, I think, 8 other amateur guys. So few of those guys got fights coming up, fighting for titles. A couple of the other guys are sort of early on in their career, first maybe 2-3 fights. But it's really good, and I think just because we've had such a small group, John there, just everyone's just leveled up so much in these last couple of months, and it's going to be good for everyone to go out there and make a statement.
Now, I don't mean to harken on the past, but I think it's important to kind of talk about it. What's led to this new facility? So you go over to Eternal in Sydney. You're there. Your teammate Luke Daly is fighting. You're cornering him. He fights. He wins. He gets a sick twister. That was awesome. And later in the night comes out, you have signed to Eternal. And I bring that up because I'm assuming you're riding a high. I'm assuming that's a big moment for you. Obviously, you've already known about it. But you're riding that high. Your phone's blowing up. You've got media. You've got friends and family telling you. And then you come back home and the gym has been burnt down overnight. What was that day like for you to go from that high to that kind of low?
Yeah, so I just woke up. We were in an Airbnb in Sydney, and my strength and conditioning coach, Nick, came downstairs and he's like, "Oh, did you hear about the gym?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" And he said, "Oh, the gym got firebombed last night." I was like, "What the fuck?" And it was just sort of, it didn't even really sink in like at all. Didn't feel real, and we had demolition that night, so we were all flying home back to Melbourne to go to the fights, and sort of kept the mind off it for a bit. And it wasn't really until the following week where it really sunk in, when I would go home after work, and then I was like, fuck, I don't have a gym to go train at. So that was when it was sort of tough, but thankfully, like, it didn't take long for the community to get around us, and I've had some of my sponsors. So Cafe Lecco is actually my sponsor, and he's given us this space to use. It's his shop, and we've just decked it out with some old mats we've had. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that. And also Eric from D2E in Ballarat, he's let me use his gym, use his facility to go do our strength and conditioning work in there. So it didn't take too long to get up and going again, but obviously, we're all heartbroken, and it's going to be a bit of a process to rebuild, but that's why we're all in here and we're all fired up, so to speak, and we're ready to come out and put on some great performances and really make a statement.
Talking about that kind of community outpour, as you mentioned before, I'm not from Ballarat. I'm out of Ballarat. I come in to talk to you guys. But from even where I could see the outpour. The community got around you, not just in Ballarat, not just in Victoria. You got people from your upcoming opponent, David Martinez, donated a percentage of his money. For you, like, what is that like, to have that kind of outpouring of support?
Yeah, oh mate, it's so good to, like, the whole MMA community as a whole got behind us, and we're going to be forever grateful for all those that donated or even just shared the post and just put the awareness out there, and everyone sort of knew what we were going through. So to have that backing, and we raised like over $20,000, so it's absolutely huge for us and the gym and John, and obviously as a business. So yeah, we're going to be we're going to remember those people, and yeah, we're super grateful for it all.
Now, the space is, I was fortunate enough to visit Infinite, and I'm fortunate enough to be in this space as well. It's different, but at the same time, an MMA gym, there are certain staples. You know, before we started, you were talking about the attitude was as long as we find a place where we can practice wall wrestling, we can kind of like go. When you come into this space, while it may be not as up, you know, high class as Infinite was, how is it in this space?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I actually don't mind it, to be honest. Like, it's just like going back to the basics. You know, we've got a good little team, like I've said. It's freezing cold in here. We come in here every day. It's absolutely freezing. But we're just here to put in work, and that's what we've been doing. So, you know, it's going to be good. Like, just to prove that, yeah, you don't need a fancy facility. You don't need all these bags, equipment, gyms. Like I said, all we need is a wall. And that was the main thing, and we got a wall now, so we're sweet, and we're gonna dominate everybody.
Talking about the support, this interview is sponsored by PRP Global. You are wearing a lovely PRP Global shirt. How did you become involved with PRP Global?
Yeah, so after my last fight on Hex, so they sponsored the event, and they were doing the post-fight, the bonus knockout of the night. So I got in contact with Ryan. Well, they put me in contact with Ryan about that, and then he just reached out and said, we want to sponsor you, and yeah, that was it. Like, just direct contact with Ryan, and mate, they've been so good. Like, another one that's been awesome. They had probably I think the biggest donation out of anybody, and it's just been really good to have their backing for this camp and my previous camps, and you know, what they're doing just as a business for the fighters, and not just myself. There's a few other guys that are on there. And even like the Australian media, it's absolutely massive, and it's really good to see guys get behind the local MMA.
Talking about some of those other guys, it seems to be that, as far as I can know off the top of my head, every other PRP athlete is at a freestyle. You're the one lone man who's not kind of that freestyle group. How is it to kind of fly the flag and be like, I go against the grain? I'm the one guy not from freestyle that's getting sponsored by PRP.
Yeah, well, that's just pretty much my career as a whole at this stage. You know, going against the grain, and big opportunities, and taking on big challenges. And yeah, obviously they saw potential in me, and yeah, they got behind the Ballarat boy.
Talking about the Ballarat boy, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm not encouraging it. I'm just more asking. You are a Ballarat boy. Is this the home? Is this where you're staying? No matter where the career goes, do you think you'll always stay here at Ballarat?
Like, in terms of living or just training, or
like everything. Of course, like, I'm not going to marry you to it. You know, if they're like, come to America and get a full sponsorship, I'm sure you'd at least consider it. But still, like, do you picture yourself kind of staying here?
Yeah, I'll picture myself staying with my team. That's the main thing. Like, Ballarat's, it's pretty fucking cold. So if they wanted to move, I would move with them. But regardless, yeah, I'm Infinite for life, and I wouldn't want to fight under any other coach than John, and train with anyone else but my teammate Luke. So, you know, we've been working together for 8 years or so, 6 to 8 years or something like that, and yeah, it's good to have guys around you that know your style and know your game and have built it from the ground up.
You talked just before about kind of those big opportunities. You're always someone to jump on those. Before we talk about this upcoming opportunity, talking about working with your coach, John, teammate Luke, you said you've been working with them for, you know, like about 8 years now. How kind of like, I'm going to use the word validating, is it? You've been putting in this work with this same core group of guys, and now you're kind of getting that recognition for it. Now people are starting to watch and pay attention.
Yeah, I was talking to Luke the other day, and I said, like, it's crazy because we've been doing the same stuff since we're amateurs, like day one. And I said, it doesn't really feel that different, to be honest. Like, just the level of competition's obviously gone up, but as we have risen up also, it's all just, what's the word? Just perspective on where you're at in your career. And yeah, like, it's obviously great to be getting that recognition, but we're still putting in the same work and doing the same things, and if not working harder than we ever have.
Now, that big opportunity coming up is the vacant Eternal lightweight title. You are fighting Mr. David Martinez for it. When you decided to sign with Eternal, did you know that I will be going straight into a title fight?
Yeah, so that was one of the big reasons I took the deal to begin with, because I was guaranteed an opportunity to fight for the title on this date, so August 17th, which was the UFC weekend, and that was something I couldn't really turn down. So I was aware that they were going to do the winner of Martinez and Kappa. So yeah, I was aware of that before signing.
What do you make of David Martinez as an opponent?
Yeah, he's good. Like he's had 18 pro fights or something like that, close to that, and he's an experienced guy. He's held the title twice, so it's another big name in the sport. He's beaten most of the guys in the lightweight division. He's been around for a long time, and obviously respect his skills. But I'm coming out to make another statement and prove that I am on that level as well.
Former two-time champion in his own right. Do you think you've faced anyone with his skill set before?
I wouldn't say his skill set exactly. I've faced guys with a grappling pedigree before. Obviously not to this level, but I've trained with guys on that, in my opinion, on his level. And it's just going to be good. Like I get to go out there and answer more questions about my game and my skill set. So yeah.
Talking about the title and jumping back to PRP real quick, the supporter shirt for this camp does have Eternal Lightweight Champion and the date on it. You are absolutely calling your shot. Of course, you come into any fight with confidence, but does that add any level of pressure where you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to burn those T-shirts if it doesn't work out well?
Nah, not at all. Like I obviously going into a fight, you're always thinking you're gonna win, and if I didn't put that down, would I really be backing myself? So, I'm backing myself in, and it's going to work out.
Always a man who is very confident in himself. You mentioned how important that date was for you. It is the day before UFC Perth. It is nearly a guarantee that the UFC brass will be there. They're always at local events like that. If you win in the way that you have been winning on that date in front of the UFC brass, do you think this victory takes you to the UFC?
I think it could, yeah. It's, in my opinion, like, what else would there really be left for me to do on the regional circuit? I mean, I would be happy to defend my belt, but, I've already taken out the pound-for-pound number one prior to this, won this, the Hex lightweight belt. If I win the Eternal lightweight belt and I get a nice finish, that's 5-0, 5 finishes. I think I would be very close to getting that call up.
Do you still consider yourself the Hex lightweight champion?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still the Hex lightweight champion. Whether I'll ever defend it, probably not. But until they have another fight for that belt, then yeah, I'm the champion.
And finally, for me, I do thank you very much for the time. Talking about getting that UFC shot, right after you signed to Eternal, in an interview, you talked about management, people looking at you and such, and you talked about Chosen Advisory you were in talks with. Is there any update for that? Have you heard anything from them?
Yeah, so I've signed with Chosen Advisory. I'm allowed to say that I've signed with them in interviews, but it's sort of under wraps because they get the chosen few. So there's a lot of guys hitting them up, chasing their advisement, and yeah, I've been selected, and I think they want to just keep it low key until we get signed to the big show, and then they'll announce it. But yeah, man, it's been awesome working with those guys. Like, some of the best in the business. Always going to give you great advice. So yeah, it's an honor to be signed with them.
I know I said that was our last question, but I do have one more. I think I talked to you about this the last time I interviewed you. You train as an athlete for these big moments. Like that's kind of like the dream, right? And this may be a funny way of wording it, but like you are him. Like you're him, dude. Like you've got people like the Chosen Advisory coming after you. They are very well respected. You respect the peers, all that, putting on great performances. What is that like? Like when you started, was this what you envisioned?
Yeah, kind of. Like I always, from the beginning, like I wanted to be a superstar, and I'm not there yet at all. So, I just try and keep a level head and just make sure I'm putting in the work and making sure that my actions are speaking louder than my words. But, I've been going out there and proving that I deserve to be in the position that I am in, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Will superstar be the walkout again?
Yeah, I think so. I've been leaning towards that. Usually have a hard time deciding like too far out, but I think it has to be for this one.
Harry Webb, I thank you very much for the time. Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Best of luck in the fight and safe travels over.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me.